welcome back to this module. This module is about sitting posture all day. Now, sitting posture is very important, especially for everybody that's out into the working world or at home, stay-at-home working now, where you find yourself for hours on end sitting at a computer desk. Now, this decreases blood flow to your legs. We are inactive for long periods of time, and it causes a lot of stress on our head, neck, shoulders, thoracics, low back, hips, because of the angles that we have to sit at. Most people end up leaning to one side, leaning to the other side, and then what tends to happen over time is when we're on the computers, our head goes down. And as we discussed in earlier modules, when the head goes forward at 60 degrees, it now weighs 60 kilos rather than it weighing about 10 to 15 on average when it's upright and over top of your shoulders. So here's a few tips on how you're supposed to remain at a desk all day and not cause these stressors that limit our number of years that we can work, or at least be comfortable while we're sitting or standing and doing things that we want to enjoy, because the work has deteriorated our low back of how we sit. So number one, take frequent breaks. Now, I don't mean get up for 20 minutes and go around and sit at the office water cooler and have a chat for 20 minutes. All I mean is just stand up, march in place, do a few trunk rotations, hands above the head, arm circles, rotations, flexions, extensions, just to get the blood flowing, to get that pressure off of that low back of being hunched over and sitting at that desk the whole time. So the first number one tip, move. Don't sit for 8 hours a day. We tend to get focused on our work and do tunnel vision and sit there for hours on end, and then before we know it, it's like, oh, I just sat there for 3-4 hours, and now I wonder why it's so sore when I get out of the chair. And when we stand up, we're like, oh, why is it so sore? And it's because of our posture. So the second tip is kind of how to sit at your desk. Now, the top of the TV monitor should be slightly below your eye vision, so that way your chin is slightly down when you're looking at the middle of the screen. You don't want everything up too high because your head will be extended. You want a slight tuck down, so the top of the screen should be just slightly below the eye level. Okay? Now, hips, elbows, knees, all slightly above 90 degrees. So you don't want that straight 90-degree bend in your knees. You want the chair lifted a little bit so you have a bit of a bend there in your knees so that you're not locked in position at 90 degrees for long periods of time. So you want slightly above 90 degrees. Your elbows, when they're sitting on the keypad, and especially the mouse, they want to be slightly above 90 degrees in your elbow so that it's sitting comfortably on the keyboard. Now, if you're one of those 1-2 finger typers, then you must move the keyboard out way in front of you so that you can look down as you're doing it. Instead of being down like this, you want it out in front of you. And the best thing to do is actually have something underneath your feet, because your knees are going to be above 90. It's not comfortable to have your feet directly below you sitting on the ground. So if you have a footstool, footrest to kind of rest your feet up on, that will help that as well. So the knees above 90 degrees, the hips and back above 90 degrees, and the elbows and wrist just slightly above 90 degrees with the keyboard and the mouse. Now, using a headset, if you're on the phone instead of being like this all day and typing, that's a no-no. So try to get an ear set if you can do that as well. And remember that string. So instead of sitting like this, lift that string up from earlier modules. Lift the string up all day so that you're typing and you're comfortable. And that way then you're not hunched over and then at the end of the day feeling the soreness. So those are the tips for number one, movement. Number two, kind of the workstation setup. But also, if you're sitting all day, you must stay hydrated. Hydration is important for everything. We touched on this earlier as well. You know, discs are 80% fluid. The majority of our body is fluid, and if we're not hydrating our body properly, then we're in issues. So you just take half your weight in pounds, and that's how many ounces of water you should be drinking. At least 50% of those ounces should be just good old-fashioned water, and the rest can be juices or teas or coffees or whatnot. But try not to get too much coffee because that's also a dehydrant. But at least half your body weight in pounds in ounces of water, and 50% of that in just good old-fashioned water. Okay, so that's your tip on sitting at the desks. That will help you. I'm going to go over a bit more with you when it comes to mid-back strengthening, so that will help you in your chair as well. But those are the big ones to go over for right now. All right, I'll see you in the next module. Looking forward to it. Thank you.